So yeah, I really appreciate watching the replay and I was sorry that I couldn't make it in person, but really appreciated, as I always do, your Qigong instruction. And then I thought that really good engagement with the questions. So appreciate all of
Okay.
that. But welcome
And
everybody. She
welcome. Hey, everybody. And Jenny was such a great host.
she was a
And
good host.
amazing. She made me feel so at home and comfortable and such. So,
Oh,
yeah.
No surprise
well,
there, Jenny.
you're welcome. And it is
There's,
just such a luscious space. So thank
we've
you,
had,
It
Stephen.
is. Luscious is the right word for it, that's for sure. It's a luscious space with a great community. So, yeah.
It is. It's definitely a blessing and an honor to be surrounded by so many great people all the time. But as we like to do, Stephen, why don't we kick off with some gratitude? What are you grateful for today?
I'm grateful for all of you. I'm grateful for all of you and this space that we've created, this container.
where do you want this?
Yeah, me too. I think that and the fact, I guess I'm also grateful for the internet. I mean, the
Yes.
fact
We're
that
connected. Yeah.
yeah, that whatever I had this conversation with somebody the other day, actually another Qigong instructor, and he wanted to start having some calls on Skype. And I was like, I totally forgot about Skype. That was a thing, it seemed like before
Oh
COVID.
my God,
You know?
yeah.
And but apparently it's much bigger over here in Europe. Maybe Zoom didn't catch on as quickly as it did in the US. I don't know, but so I had totally forgotten about it. But just grateful. Look, you're in Los Angeles. I'm in Barcelona of all places, and that's no latency. It's I can see you, I
No.
can hear you. It's not staticky. Although the internet here is a little quiet, so at some point I may have to shut off my video when I get
Okay.
to finish.
Yeah.
But yeah, super grateful for this. Obviously, Jenny, always for you and for this collaboration with the bigger picture of Qigong and the work that we're trying to put out into the world, helping people slow down, which there's definitely a different pace in Barcelona than there is in New York City. So it's
Yes, siesta.
Yes, exactly. So it's a lot of fun. But so just encourage or invite you guys to say or type in whatever you guys are grateful for into the chat. And then I will go through a little bit of preamble while we get ready for some
Yeah.
chi instruction. Anything else we should touch on before we dig into all those other goodies?
Let's ring the gong. How about
Let's do
that?
that.
Let's
I
ring the
love that
gong.
idea.
And let me share my sound. Mhm.
So good. They say that food is so much of a memory. And that you remember when you smell whatever apple pie, it takes you back to your grandmother's house or something. And for that tone, I probably have brought it up in this call before, but it always, something specific to that tone takes me back to the Mindfulness Center in Milwaukee, which was part of Thich Nhat Hanh's work. And so just I can actually feel myself in that room every time. So I really appreciate however that was selected by you for us. I'm very grateful for that as well. As a reminder to everybody, Qicovery was born last year in 2024 as a result of our desire to introduce the transformative power of Qigong to those in recovery and share how it continues to help us in our recovery, whether you are recovering from an injury, managing a chronic illness, or seeking relief from the stresses of daily life. Qigong provides tools to support your journey. Our purpose is to help anyone seeking to recover from any addictive behavior, as well as loved ones of those in recovery. This is an open meeting where all people from various recovery backgrounds are welcome. We do not discriminate. We are glad that you are here, especially those of you who are new to recovery. If you haven't joined our Qicovery community online, we strongly encourage you to do so and become an active part of our community. It's where the real magic happens, and you have 24/7 access to each other and many other resources. And if you're looking for another great opportunity to connect live online during the week, as many people did last week when Stephen was our special guest host, be sure to check out the Wild Tea Parties every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5:30 Pacific. So to join us, simply click on the link that I will put in the chat, and also encourage you guys to jump in and invite others to the same. The more, the merrier. Stephen, with having said or read all of that, we'll turn it over to you for some Qigong.
Cool. Let's start off with a little breath work. And this morning I'm inspired to do the 4-7-8 breath. 4-7-8 is where we inhale through the nose for 4 counts. We hold it for 7, and then we exhale out through the mouth through pursed lips for 8. It's a great one to do to bring a little balance to our nervous system. So I invite you to just exhale all the breath out that's in your body. And then we inhale 1, 2, 3, 4, hold 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Again, inhale 1, 2, 3, 4, hold 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and continue on your own. Feel free to modify if you need to. Be a witness to your breath. Lovely. And I invite you to release the technique and allow your breath to come back to a normal breath pattern. It's amazing what a few deep breaths will do. So let's move on to some Qigong. So I invite you to come to a standing position if that's available to you. Otherwise, you can sit and modify any exercise that you need to. That's what I love about Qigong. It's highly adaptable. So let's start with our legs and feet about hip width apart, soft knees, heavy tailbone, long spine, shoulders down the back, wide through the collarbones, and open the heart and lift the crown of your head to the sky. Turn from your waist side to side, a little knocking on the door of life, just to get a lightning flash of energy in the body. Allow your forearms and your hands to knock along key pressure points in your body, stimulating the kidneys as well as your digestive system. Relax the shoulders and move from the center of your body. You can gaze over your shoulder if you'd like to, get that full rotation of your spine, or you can keep your gaze forward if that makes you dizzy. Nice deep breaths in and out as you coordinate your movement with the breath. Let's make a soft fist and tap on the corner of the chest with the front arm, just below your collarbone. Stimulate the lungs and the immune system. Also relax the chest muscles. Facilitates deeper breathing and better posture when these muscles are relaxed. And let's take the hand and tap on the top of your shoulder, base of your neck. Relieve a line of tension here. This is where many of us hold a lot of excess tension. The point you're tapping on is a great remedy for headaches. And let's go back to the chest again. And the low back. And then to the waist and the low back. If you'd like to, you can look over your shoulder a bit more, deep in the rotation and the enlivening of your spine. Take a deep breath. And as you exhale, begin to slow the movement down. Slowly unwind. Till we come to a point of stillness. Let's continue to enliven the spine by doing spinal cord breathing. So keep the knees soft and the spine long. Lift your arms and bend them. Forearms in front of the face. Take the elbows back, open the chest, and slightly lift your gaze. No need to take your head too far back. Just open the heart. Take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, draw your bent elbows forward, curl your tailbone and around your spine and look towards your abdomen. Exhale all the breath out. Inhale as you lift your spine, draw your elbows back, open the chest. And then exhale as you round the spine. And let me give you another point of view. So keep the knees soft and keep your shoulders right over your hips as you inhale. And as you exhale, keep your shoulders right over your hips as you round your spine. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Envision pouring fresh energy into your nervous system with each breath, and that this movement of the spine pumps energy through your spinal cord. Let's do 3 more. One more. And relax the arms down and roll up through your spine. Good. Now let's do a little dog wags its tail. So with the knees are soft, the spine is long, we just shift our weight side to side. Doing a little lateral flexion of the spine. Allow the arms to relax. And the only reason why your arms move is because you're moving your body from the center. I'd like to imagine that I'm standing between 2 panes of glass when I do this exercise, one in front, one behind, and I'm trying not to touch either pane of glass. Just envision the sides of your spine opening up, as well as the rib cage. Stretch those muscles between the ribs. Again, facilitating deeper breathing. Take 3 deep breaths with me. One more deep breath. And begin to slow the movement down. Slow it down until you're still. And just pause for a moment and just notice the energy in your body in the stillness. So the body is still, but the energy within it is still flowing like a mighty river. Let's go ahead and open the legs and feet wider than the shoulders. Let's turn the toes out a bit. Bend the knees and make sure your knees are in line with your first and second toes. And put your hands on your knees. Let's do a little spinal twist. So let's turn to one side, turning away from your opposite hip, and press the hands into the legs. Feel that nice little stretch of the low back as well as the inner thighs. Take a deep breath here. Full breath out. Let's take another breath. Breathe into the low back. Let's come back to the center. Let's inhale here. And then exhale as you twist to the other side, looking over the shoulder. Take a deep breath. And exhale out. Coming back to the center. Let's do that one more time to each side. And let's come back to the center. And let's do that one last time. Over to the other side. Moving back to the center. Let's turn the toes to point forward and just bend forward. You can have straight legs or you can soften your knees, whatever's right for you. Hands to the floor, and if you can't reach the floor, put your hands on your feet or on your shins. Gently bob your head yes. Gently shake your head no. Gently shake your head maybe. Allow any excess tension in the neck and shoulders to just pour out. Soften your knees a bit more. Place one hand on one wrist, then slowly roll up through your spine. As you roll up through your spine, lift your arms at the front of your body. Reach the arms up towards the sky. Gently press the hips slightly forward. Feel a nice stretch to the front of your body. Take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, stand tall, open the arms out and down. Let's bring the legs and feet in and place the hands together at the low back. And if this isn't comfortable, you can also do this or this, all right? And let's open up lines of tension in the neck. So let's take the head to one side, ear towards the shoulder. Gently stretching the neck. And then slowly begin to circle the head, bringing your chin towards your chest. Roll your head over to the other side. And now take the head slightly back, but think more up and over, almost as though the head is being suspended on top of the spine as you go to the original side. And then slowly circle the head, taking nice deep breaths in and out. Let's breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth for a nice cleansing breath. Good. And the next time your chin is towards your chest, you'll pause. And let's go in the opposite direction. And the next time your chin is towards your chest, you'll pause. You relax the arms, lift the head, and gently shake out your arms. Now let's do a little cleansing and clearing exercise. So you're going to make soft fists and you're going to lift your arms above your head. And now lift your heels slightly off of the floor, pressing into the bubbling springs on the soles of the feet. And allow the heels to drop and allow the arms to swing. Let's do that again. So we lift the arms, we lift the heels, take a deep breath, and then exhale, drop. And again, inhale, lift, exhale, drop. A little bit more flow. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Allow the heels to drop into the floor, creating a little vibration through the legs and the spine. So if we're releasing excess energy down into the earth, 3 more. Last one. And come to a point of stillness. You can close your eyes for a moment. Just notice what you feel. Now that the energy is activated in the body and it's flowing freely, let's encourage the flow by opening the flow. So we're going to lift the arms up to they're about shoulder height, shoulder width. Soften your elbows, wrists, and hands and float your arms down. As you lift your arms, shift your weight back towards your heels. And as you float the arms down, shift your weight forward towards the balls of your feet and your toes. Let's inhale as the arms lift. Nice relaxed shoulders. And exhale as the arms float down, shifting forward. Imagine that you are a feather floating, being carried by the wind. Let's do this 3 more times. Last time. Good, and relax. Bring your legs and feet close together. Place your hands on your lower belly. And just take 3 deep breaths here. As you inhale, feel your abdomen expand. And as you exhale, feel your abdomen soften. And relax. Beautiful, everyone. Thank you so much for allowing me to lead you through this practice. Hopefully that made you feel good, made you feel ready for your day.
Always good. Thank you, Stephen.
My pleasure.
I think they should have that as a tradition along with the siesta here, right? Is do some qigong before you relax, right? Take that time off in the afternoon. I was thinking a lot about what to share this week, and there's a whole bunch of different options as there are unlimited choices out there to be had. And I thought for a minute about sharing something from a more traditional sort of literature, which eventually we will do, but for some reason made another decision to go in a different direction. Obviously, still very connected with recovery. And this is a video literally entitled The Best Explanation of Addiction That I've Ever Heard, which I agree with. So this is maybe a little bit more educational. It's a little bit over 9 minutes. It'll still give us some time to share, but very insightful by Dr. Gabor Mat, who I think always has very good things to share about just life in general. I will share this with everybody and then we'll stop at the end. And before we start the sharing portion, of course, then I will stop the recording again. Having said that, Stephen, you're gonna have to re-share your gong when we get towards the end again, since I had to disconnect it for this part. But just a heads up that when this is over, we'll have to turn your sharing permissions back on. With having said all of that, let's dig in and hear what Dr. Mate has to share with us. All right. Here we go.
East side of Vancouver, British Columbia is one of the world's ground zeros for addiction, in that in a few square block radius we have thousands of people injecting, inhaling and ingesting drugs of all kinds and paying dearly for it. These people are often outside the law, certainly beset by many medical problems due to injection drug use, including psychosis, including HIV, including hepatitis C, cancers. They die of overdoses. This is trench warfare, and the people that are the frontline soldiers dying from it are the people affected by addiction. So that's where I worked for 12 years. And what I learned could be summed up really very briefly by saying that addiction is not a choice that anybody makes, it's not a moral failure, it's not an ethical lapse, it's not a weakness of character, it's not a failure of will, which is how our society depicts addiction, nor is it an inherited brain disease, which is how the medical tendency is to see it. What it actually is, it's a response to human suffering. And all these people that I worked with had been severely traumatized as children. All the women had been sexually abused, all the men had been traumatized, some of them sexually, physically, emotionally neglected. And not only is that my perspective, it's also what the scientific and research literature shows. So addiction then is actually, rather than being a disease as such or a human choice, it actually is, it's an attempt to escape suffering, temporarily. By the time I went to work there, I had already been in family practice for 20 years. I'd seen a lot, and I was quite attuned to the impact of early childhood experiences on adult psychology and adult brain physiology. But I just hadn't seen the depth and the degree until I went to work down there. So really it dramatized and confirmed for me, made it very palpable how addictions are a response to suffering, and that what people need in response to addiction is not judgment and not simply symptom control. They need to be helped to heal from their trauma, because it is all about trauma. The media, the television, cultural depiction of addicts is usually as desperate people, but without showing why they're desperate. So all that shows is the desperation for the drugs. There's no indication of what's driving that desperation. And hence you see them behaving in all kinds of dysfunctional ways, aggressive or manipulative or unpleasant. But again, there's no three-dimensional sense of the reality of these people as to what that's really all about for them. Is it possible to cure people? You're speaking from the Western model, where I am the expert and you're the one with the disease, and I'm going to cure you like you cure a piece of meat. No. The answer to that question, framed that way, is no, it's not possible. If you're asking, is it possible for people to heal from trauma sufficiently that they don't have to keep escaping into addictions to lessen the suffering of their trauma? Yes, that's entirely possible. But the question is, under what conditions is that possible? And under the conditions that obtain in London, UK, or Vancouver, British Columbia, or in New York, or any place, under the conditions that obtain socially, legally, and from the perspective of medical practice, it's hardly a likelihood, because we're approaching it from the wrong direction and with the wrong perspective. If I could constantly demonstrate that with this particular population, I could affect a 5 or 10% success rate of getting people to leave their addictions behind, I'd be considered to be a genius, because our results are so poor. When I say ours, I don't mean ours specifically in Vancouver. I don't mean that. The overall treatment model for addiction is so poor in succeeding with the most affected segments of the population. Addictions are like everything else on a spectrum. So a lot of people do heal from addictions, but the most inveterate, most entrenched addicts, they have the hardest time. And they're also the ones whom society gives the hardest time, so that it makes it even harder to help them. Never mind they don't get the help they need, they actually get actively punished. And so what you've actually got is traumatized children. When children are traumatized, that affects how they feel about themselves, which is deeply ashamed, because a child always believes that it's about himself. So if I'm being hurt like this, I gotta be a terrible person. Or if I was sexually abused, why didn't I fight back? I must be a very weak person. So there's a deep sense of shame. Then there's tremendous emotional pain that accrues from abuse and neglect. Tremendous emotional pain that is hardly possible for people to bear. Now they have to soothe their pain with substances or other compulsive behaviors. Then the trauma itself, given that the human brain develops an interaction with the environment, shapes the brain circuitry in such a way that the person will be more likely to find relief from the drugs. So the very physiology of the brain is affected by early trauma. So then you take these traumatized people and you make their habit illegal. It's not illegal to drink yourself to death. It's not illegal to make yourself sick with emphysema or lung cancer by means of cigarettes, but it is illegal to use other substances. So now you take these abused, traumatized people, you place them outside the law, you put them in jails, and you hound them all their lives, treating them like criminals and bad people and failures and rejects and less than human. And then we wonder how come they don't get better. It's a self-perpetuating cycle of taking traumatized people and then re-traumatizing them, and then hoping at the same time, why don't they listen? Why don't they get better already? Why don't they give it up? They don't give it up because the more hurt they are, the more they need to escape. In other words, the addiction wasn't your problem. Your problem was that you had a lot of emotional pain you didn't know what to do with. So the addiction was really an attempt to solve a problem. So when you say, why do people use substances, or why do they engage in addictions in general, it's because they have a problem they don't know what to do with. And if you really understand their addiction, we have to ask, what gave you so much emotional pain? And how come you didn't have the internal resources? This is not a judgment, it's simply an inquiry. How come you lacked at some point the internal resources to deal with that pain in a more creative, forward-looking way that would help you resolve the pain rather than to perpetuate it? So really what it was is that the addiction came along to help you solve a problem you had no other solutions for at the time. And that's the case for all addictions. So why do people use? Why do people engage in addictions? Because they have deep emotional problems they don't have the means to resolve on their own. That's why they use. The average medical student, until very recently, has never even heard the word trauma in their education. It doesn't show up. We don't talk about it. We don't talk about its impact on the brain, on the personality, on the emotional life of people, on its impact on people's physical health. It's not a word that we mention. We're traumaphobic. As a fellow doctor said to me, the medical profession is traumaphobic. Psychiatrists these days are trained mostly in this biological model of psychiatry where everything comes down to a biological brain disease. Here, let's give you a pill. The last thing most psychiatrists know how to talk about is actually emotional pain or its origins in human experience. You'd think they know how to do that, but they don't. They're not trained in it. It's not part of the predominant medical ideology. And as a physician, I can tell you, we like to think of medicals as a science, and it has certainly great scientific achievements to its credit and great scientific insights to buttress its successes. But it's as much as ideology as science. And ideology has certain hidden assumptions that are hidden from the people that believe in ideology. And so that if something is excluded by your ideology, you just won't see it. And so that you can be talking to somebody about your addiction, and the simple question, what did they do for you? And how come you're in so much emotional pain? Doesn't occur to anybody trained in the classical manner. No, this is true not just for physicians, it's true for a lot of psychologists as well, who are more interested in solving your problems and getting you to overcome the behavior than in asking, okay, where does the behavior come from? And what are you still carrying inside that's making you behave that way? And how can we help you resolve what's inside you? Not just how do we help you change your behavior, but how do we help you change? Now that's what healing is. And that happens inside a person. So it's never a question of anybody curing anybody else, but we can guide people to healing if we ask the right questions.
There you have it. Let me stop the recording really quick.